University amongst the others. And this university is striving hard to provide a market oriented professional education to all its students, which is very appreciated by all of us as it is definitely the need of the hour. The university offers us a plethora of courses in various disciplines like engineering, medicine, education, pharmacy, law, finance, and many, many more to name. So this is going to be very insightful. I expect all the students to listen very, very carefully. This might lead you to a light that you were looking for. At the moment, I know we are all sitting home, not able to, explore the world as we would like to. So this is your moment. This is your time to learn what world outside your house, outside this digital world is expecting from you. So our resource person of the day, I'll just introduce him in few words, although few words are not sufficed for him. The Revered Honorable Professor Dr. Ravikant Swamiji has a very rich experience of about 25 years or more in academic administration and teaching. His rich experience today is going to guide us to carve the future path for many of my students today, I believe. I will not take another minute to and waste it away for these talks. I will hand over the whole thing now to Dr. Ravi Grant Swamiji to please proceed and enlighten my students and guide them.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll share my screen and begin the presentation right away. Okay, audience, the objective of this presentation is to inform you about IP University, which is a major university at Delhi. So that's just a beginner. That's the university in this presentation today. Not a long presentation, students, don't worry. So we are going to talk about 5 things today. First, we'll talk about the university, then the courses in which you may be interested, the admission process, and the fee structures, and then the career scope after the professional courses, right? This is what we are going to discuss today. So moving on to the first part of our presentation about the university. So this university was established in 1998 by Delhi government. Now students, an important point here is that Delhi government has got 2 major universities. One is the University of Delhi and second is IPU. Now, the question arises that why the same government has established 2 universities? Do they compete with each other? No. The answer is that University of Delhi and IPU, they do not compete with each other, rather they complement each other. How do they complement? They complement because University of Delhi is all about academic courses, while IPU is all about professional courses. We are going to talk about the difference between a professional and an academic course in the next slide. So IPU is all about professional courses, established in 1998. When we talk about the rankings, oh my God, ranking is a very difficult area and controversial too. Why it is controversial? Because we find so many rankings. India Today gives one ranking, Times of India gives another ranking. I am not going to talk with you about the rankings given by any newspaper or magazine for reasons which I cannot speak here. Or I can simply say the reason is that I don't believe in those rankings, because there are several reasons behind those rankings not to be quoted. Okay, so while we talk about rankings, let us talk about the rankings which are authentic, and the authentic rankings are those which are given by the government itself. So there's a body called National Institutional Ranking Framework, established by the HRD Ministry, NIRF. So NIRF provides rankings to all the universities and colleges in our country. Well, in India, we have 875 universities in all, which include all the 4 categories of universities. What are those four categories? Central universities, state government universities, deemed universities, and private universities. All these four categories taken together, the number is 875. So let us see what is IP's ranking out of these 875 universities. The ranking is 95th. And mind it, the ranking is not given by India Today or Times of India. It is given by NIRF, National Institutional Ranking Framework, by the HRD ministry itself. So when I say the ranking is 95th, another way of saying this is that IPU stands among the top 10% universities in India, or 90% universities in India are ranked below IPU, right? Then NIRF also provides rankings to courses. So IPU's courses are ranked 86th in India taken together. And while I talk about business management, the rank is even better. There is another grading agency called NAC, and NAC also has graded A to IP University. Another point is that if, say, for example, you do BBA or BHMCT from India and you want to pursue your masters in USA or UK or Australia, then in that case, a question arises that is that Indian degree recognized by the foreign universities? So the answer is provided by an association called AIU. AIU is what? Association of Indian Universities. So any university which has got membership of AIU, it means that its degree is recognized by all universities on this earth. So IPU has got that AIU membership, which means if you pursue any course from IPU, your degree is recognized, is valid throughout the world. Then what is IPU? IPU is made up of around 95 colleges which are located in Delhi and NCR. Just like University of Delhi, it is also made up of around 90 colleges. So these colleges are located in Delhi and NCR. What is NCR? NCR means the districts adjoining Delhi and not belonging to Delhi. So Gautam Budh Nagar is one district. It falls in UP, does not belong to Delhi, but then it is located in NCR, so it is affiliated with IPU. Then Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Gurugram, in all these districts, IPU has got its colleges, right? So IPU has got around 95 colleges which are located in Delhi and NCR. Courses about which I'm going to talk in the second section. There are around 80 courses. Some are postgraduate courses, some are undergraduate courses. For you, undergraduate courses are relevant, so I would be talking only about those. Then it's a huge university with 80,000 students. Moving on, that was the introduction to IPU. Before we move ahead, we should try to understand what is the difference between a professional and an academic course. An academic course like history honors or psychology honors or sociology honors is a course which provides you knowledge, and knowledge. Okay, I'm speaking the Vidya Balan style, huh? Entertainment, and entertainment. No, it's a fact that an academic course enhances your knowledge, definitely. But a professional course provides you knowledge, number one. Second, how to apply that knowledge. And third, the corporate attitude, right? So therefore, we can say that the objective of or the output of any academic course is knowledge enhancement, while that of a professional course is placement or training you for a specific job. I'll give an example to make this point clear. Say, for example, you go for BA History Honors. So are you preparing yourself for a specific job? No. While if you go for something like Bachelor's in Hotel Management and Catering Technology or BTech Computer Science or BBA LLB, in that case, you are preparing yourself for a specific job profile. Now, what is happening in the Indian scenario? Some of the since 1991, what happened? Our country went through LPG. LPG is what? Liberalization, privatization, globalization. So what is the output of LPG? The output is that the government sector is shrinking and the private sector is expanding. And therefore, to conclude this slide, I can say that the need for professional courses is there, while the need for academic courses is reducing, right? We can safely say that professional courses are more and more in demand and academic courses are less in demand because of LPG. Now, before we close with the first part about IPU, let me take you to an interesting section, notable alumni. Yes, all of you can recognize this face. Yes, Tapsi Panu did her BTech Computer Science from IPU. She is the one who does not need any introduction. Then Gaurav Sharma, a very renowned author who wrote popular bestsellers like God of the Salid and Gone Are the Days. He did his journalism from IPU. Then Gaurav Gogoi is the deputy leader of Congress in Lok Sabha. He did his BTech Electronics from IPU. And the list is very, very long. I have just taken a very small part of this. Then Guneet Monga, she is a big time producer. Movies like Gangs of Wasipur, Masan, Zuba, Lunchbox, these were all produced by a production house owned by Guneet Monga. So we close the first section of our presentation today, which is about IPU. The second part is about the courses, right? Now, as I said, IPU runs professional courses. So we can divide the courses into categories. Now, what do I mean by categories? I will categorize these courses in terms of one for which no specific discipline is required in 12th class. Category 2 for which a specific discipline is required in 12th class. So the first category is courses for which no specific discipline is required. You may have taken humanities or commerce or even vocational or bio or maths or anything at your 12th, you are eligible to do these courses, right? You can do these courses. So we call these courses as stream neutral courses. Means what? Students from all streams can pursue these courses. So what are these courses? They include BA LLB, 5-year integrated, BBA LLB, 5-year integrated, then Bachelor of Arts, Journalism and Mass Comm, then BBA, and then BHMCT, Hotel Management and Catering Technology. For these courses, any discipline in 12th does not matter. You are eligible. Yes, the universal eligibility remains that you should have minimum 50% at your 12th. For any professional course, this is the minimum eligibility. Only for BTech, the minimum eligibility is 45% at 12th. So these courses, they don't need any specific discipline. They are available at IPU. Now, talking about these integrated courses, these courses have a specific advantage. Say, for example, if you do BBA and then you do LLB, then it will take 3 + 3, 6 years. While if you do BBA LLB, it saves 1 year and you can complete 2 degrees in 5 years. So that is the reason integrated courses have become very popular these days. So that's about the stream neutral courses. Let us see other courses. The link of that brochure was given there, which will be provided by my colleague, Dr. Shalini and Navjot in the chat box. You can do that, Shalini. Then after stream neutral courses, there are courses which need you to have a specific discipline in class 12. Say, for example, if you want to do BTech, you should have PCM, Physics, Chemistry and Maths in your class 12. Yes, BTech Biotech is an exception. Okay, I'm not going to talk about exceptions here. So if you want to go for BTech, then you need PCM in class 12. Similarly, for Bachelor of Architecture, you need mathematics or PCM at your class 12. Then there are courses which need a bio background. So Bachelor of Pharmacy or Nursing, these courses need a specific background, which is biology. Other than that, IPU has got courses in allopathy, MBBS is there, Ayurveda is also there, BAMS, and BHMS. Homeopathy is also there, for which you need a biology background. So that is the brief about the courses. Audience, the number of courses is 80, as I said. I cannot discuss all the 80 because say around 50 are master's courses, not relevant for you. Then out of 30, I have taken the major courses. I have not taken courses like yoga or like MBBS or BMS or homeopathy. I have not included them, but they are very much there at IPU. Or to conclude this point about courses, you find almost all the professional courses at IPU, right? Now, we can divide these courses into two parts. For category 1, the courses for which IPU does not conduct its entrance exam. What does that mean? It simply means that IPU will go by the scores which you acquire or achieve in the national level tests. What are those? For engineering, we have JEE. For law courses, BALLB, BBLLB, we have CLAT. For architecture, we have NATA. For MBBS, we have NEET. So IPU does not go for duplication. Means if a national level entrance test is available, IPU will not conduct its entrance. Rather, IPU will accept the scores which you have achieved at those national level exams. Then there are courses for which no national level exams are there. So for such courses, IPU conducts its own entrance exam. So for hotel management, for journalism, for BBA, for BCA, IPU conducts its own entrance exam. To conclude this slide, in either of these cases, you need to register yourself by clicking at this link given, which will be provided to you in the chat box, and the fee is 1200 rupees. So in either of the cases, every student who is interested in IPU needs to register himself or herself at this site, for which the last date is 31st July, and pay rupees 1200. That is mandatory. So that was about the second part of the presentation, the courses. One more thing is there, due to COVID, we find that a special provision has been made. We call it on the spot or visit and admit or instant admission. You can visit any college near to your school or your home. There may be any college in Greater Noida or Ghaziabad or Delhi. You can visit any college, and the college has been empowered due to COVID, due to the special circumstances, that your admission can be finalized on the spot, provided you have appeared in JEE and all these entrances, right? So that completes the second part of the presentation about the courses and how to take admission. Now, what is this? What we are talking about, students? Okay, so yes, this is an important part. I need to tell you about the fee structures. My dear students, since IPU is a Delhi government university, so the fee structures are not exorbitant. They are not very high like the private universities available in Delhi NCR region. So many private universities are available, but I believe they charge a hefty amount, and therefore the return on investment is difficult to receive. So being a Delhi government university, the fee structure is very normal. It's almost like any school in Delhi or NCR. 80,000 to 110,000 per year is the fee. Plus there are no hidden charges. Tomorrow the college cannot tell you that you pay additionally for placements or picnic or anything, right? So that's about the fee structure. We are now moving to the last part of the presentation. But before that, the scholarships. Students, Merit Cum Means is a very important scholarship in the sense that it is a scholarship which is available for the general category students. Generally, we find in the Indian scenario that scholarships are available for reserved category students. Yes, the government fully funds the studies of SC/ST students, but then merit come means is a scholarship which is available for general category students, and there is no filtering. If a student has got 60% and no reappear, and the family income falls in any of these criteria, then scholarship is definitely going to come to you. And there's a reason for that. Why Delhi government is so generous? Because students, Delhi government is the richest government in our country in terms of per capita income. Yes, that may be information to you. Many of you may be already knowing that while we talk about per capita income, Delhi is the richest government. So the students get the advantage of that richness, and the advantage is that you get some good amount of scholarships, and even the general category students, they can get scholarships, and there are no filters. Means, I'll give an example to explain this. Say for example, the annual family income is 5,90,000, and you have 60% and no reappear. You can fill the form and get the scholarship. There is no filter. There's no selection, or there's no rationing. You are bound to get the scholarship. That's the beauty of Delhi being the richest state, and IPU being a university run by Delhi government. Then there are so many other scholarships for reserved categories, which I have not included in my presentation. Uh, we have come to the last part of the presentation, the scope of these, right? So I'll begin with the scope of law courses. So four areas are there in which a law graduate can have his or her career. First is legal practice. You can put on a black coat. Okay, my coat is not black today. You can put on a black coat, you can start your practice. And that's the first area in which a law graduate can find a career. Second is you can join a job, you can join a law firm. There are so many law firms, and then it's like a job. Third is you can join the judiciary, the highest level in this country. It's a very, like, it's difficult to become a judge, but then many students are there. Like I'm talking about the lower judiciary, which is there in each and every state of this country. So you can become a magistrate. That is the third career avenue which a law graduate can find out. And the last option, which is interesting for law students, is politics. Why I say so? Because I find everywhere. You look at the Indian scenario, you look at the American scenario, everywhere politicians are dominating, everywhere law graduates are dominating the politics. I can give you examples to prove my point, that everywhere law graduates or advocates are dominating the politics. You talk about Jawaharlal Nehru, you talk about Sardar Patel, you talk about Mahatma Gandhi, all of them were law graduates. Okay, let us go to America. You talk about Barack Obama, you talk about the Indian Vice President of America, Kamala Harris. What is common among all of them? All of them are law graduates. So I tell my students that politics is also option for law graduates. So four options for law students: become an advocate, join a law firm, join the judiciary, become a magistrate, or join the politics. Okay, coming to the career scope of journalism and mass comm, students, all of us have mobiles with us, and we watch YouTube and Sony Live and Netflix and Amazon and Disney Hotstar. Now tell me, who is producing all these things? Who is producing? The students of journalism and mass comm, like Guneet Monga, they are producing these things. So whatever you are watching on your mobile or on your television, the students of journalism and mass comm are the ones who are producing these items. So that defines the scope of journalism and mass communication. With the with the advent of OTT platform, over the top, the scope of journalism has become all encompassing. The scope has become very huge. Coming to the scope of business administration, BBA, students, three areas are there: finance and HR. These are the three areas, and then you can add things like operations and international business. So in these areas, a person who has done a course in business management can find a job. So within marketing also there are areas like advertising, like sales. In HR you have areas like personal management, like HRM. Then in finance you have areas like working capital, project management. So these are the areas in which a BBA or an MBA can find job aspects. Talking about hotel management, what is the scope of hotel management? So there are again three areas in which a hotel management graduate can find a career path. One is front office. The moment you enter a hotel, you find someone is there to handle you. Then second is housekeeping. And third is food and beverage, which is the kitchen part, right? So in hotel management, three areas are there: front office, housekeeping, food and beverage. So you can have a career in these three areas. Yes, BTech is something wherein we need to go into little detail. What is that? Audience, BTech is something which is very, very pattern oriented. Technology is something which changes very fast. So while India became independent, we find that civil engineering had a great scope. Why? Because the country was constructing itself, roads, bridges, railway lines, housing, all these areas were having a boom. And the boom went on for 30, 40 good years. Then came electrical engineering. So civil went down, electrical came up, and then came mechanical because India was trying to become a manufacturing hub. So mechanical was on the rise. So, so who is behind that? Who is behind all those things? We find that architects are behind all those things. That defines the scope of architecture. As far as pharmacy is concerned, yes, the medicine field again, it's an ever-growing field. So you can find a good career in the medicine field as well. Talking about nursing, students, two things I would like to tell about nursing. Number one, while I talk about a nurse, while I use the word nurse, I do not mean a female. It's a gender neutral word. Nurse can be a male, can be a female. Second, do not attach a taboo. Do not attach a taboo with the profile a nurse has. It's not a low profile. You go to Gulf, you go to Europe, Indian nurses are highly paid, highly respected. So therefore, nursing is another area in which students can have a good job prospect. So that was about the last part of today's presentation, the scope of these courses. Now, of course, this is the question which is coming to everyone's mind: which course is best for me? And no one can answer that question because every course is good for you. How can I say so? See this diagram. Now, what is this diagram telling us? This diagram says that towards the left, very few people are there. Towards the right, again, few people are there. But in the middle, majority of the people are there. What does this mean? It simply means that researchers tell us that in each and every discipline, in each and every professional course, 25% students, they do not do well in their careers. They do not do well. I'll tell you the reason why in the last slide. While there are 25% students who do exceptionally well, okay, 25% do not do well, 25% exceptionally well. In between lie the majority of the students, 50%, who do well, who are satisfied and happy in their careers, right? This is what happens in in each and every course, in each and every profession. So I can't tell you which course is good for you. My dear students, you may take any course. This is the output. The only thing is you should not fall in the 25% laggard category. You should not fall in the 25% category who are not very successful. In the last slide, I'll answer the formula for success. Can anyone tell you the formula? Yes, audience, can anyone tell you the formula? Even God does not have the formula for success. Who am I? Of course, the answer is there. And the answer is that if you have the right set of knowledge, if you know how to apply that knowledge, if you have the skills, and if you have the corporate ready attitude, the world is waiting to welcome you with open arms. This is the only formula for success. Thank you for being an excellent audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. They were so enlightening. And I truly, truly believe that your wise words have definitely shown some light to our students today. And Shalini ma'am, please continue. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for the presentation. I have started getting few questions. So students, you can write in your questions in the chat box. We'll be taking them now. So the first question which I've got from Manpreet Singh. So he is asking, is BCom is available in IP University?
Well, BCom honors is available. But as I said, IPU is known for professional courses only. If you want to do BCom, I suggest that you can go to University of Delhi because it's known for academic courses, although BCom is available. So if you don't get admission in University of Delhi, then as a second preference, you can try for IPU. IPU is known for, IPU excels in professional courses only.
Sir, this is somewhat tricky question, which is being asked by one of the students, Rudra. He is asking why some IIT's rank is far more better than IPU. Is IIT teach better than IPU? Because their placements are very good. What is the reason?
Yes, as far as BTech is concerned, some IITs, not all, some IITs are ranked better than IPU. There's no doubt about that. As far as BTech is concerned, because IITs run only one course and that is BTech. They may be running MTech or MBA, but they are not known for that. IITs are known for BTech, and yes, as far as BTech is concerned, IITs are above IPU. They are. Yes.
Okay, so the next question is being asked by Sakshi. She is asking, is there any percentage criteria for admissions?
50% at 12th is the minimum eligibility for all the professional courses, except for BTech, wherein AICTE has kept it at 45%, right? Other than that, if you appear at these competitive exams like CLAT or JEE, there is nothing like cutoff because these competitive exams have got, they operate on percentile and not percentage. I'll just explain that point. Percentage is in absolute terms and percentile is in relative terms. So percentile is like this, that the highest score is taken as 100. Say for example, the paper is very tough and the topper gets 72 out of 100. In the case of percentile, 72 will be treated as 100 and the ranks will be given to the students till the end. So in competitive exams, there is no cutoff. Things are your ranks are in relative terms. Even if your score is say -1 out of 100, your rank may be good. If the paper is very tough and the scores may go low, the topper may have 62 out of 100. Your marks may be -1 out of 100, but your rank may be good even in that case. So that is what in competitive exams, it's percentile, not percentage. So it's in relative terms, not in absolute terms. So that way there is no cutoff.
Anshu is asking, is BMS available? I think he means bachelor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, BAMS, BHMS and MBBS, all these three courses are very much available at IPU.
Yeah. Hardik, another question. The next question is from Hardik. He's asking what kind of questions will be asked in the entrance exams of journalism?
I think the general trend in all the competitive exams is GK, English, and maths or mental aptitude. This is the general pattern. You may go for civil services or any exam. Of course, I'm not talking about NEET or this JEE, because in JEE we have PCM, while in NEET we have bio. But in general competitive exams like BJMC, BBA, hotel management, the general trend is the sections include what? They include English, they include your reasoning, then reasoning or mental aptitude, and GK. These three are the main sections in any competitive exam, especially for the stream neutral courses.
So here I would like to add, and I would like to inform the students as well as ma'am, that we are conducting special sessions on the building the skills for vocabulary as well as the quantitative aptitude for school students. So we are doing 1 day or 2 day workshops also for students where they can, it will help them to build their vocabulary or to build their quantitative aptitude skills. So we are doing that also. Probably we will talk to you about that also in future. So taking on the next question, any age criteria for admission?
So earlier the age criteria was 21, but then there were a few cases probably before last year that a few students, their age was about 21, they wanted to take admission in professional courses, and then IPU listened to them and the age criteria was increased to 25. It's 25.
Okay, the other question, the next question is from Harman. He's asking, when should we register ourselves for the admissions? This year or next year? I think he's a 12th class student. So.
Okay, then obviously next year, in 2022.
Yes.
But yes, the preparation starts now. That is the purpose why your school organized this session today. The awareness, the preparation, it starts now. Absolutely. Of course, you are going to take admission in 2022, but the preparation has to start now.
Right. Sir, Pranjal is asking, what are the courses for CA and for the banking line?
For CA, what is done is that ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, is an organization which awards the CA degree. Okay, but then parallel to CA, you can do BCom or BBA or BBA LLB or anything. So generally, this is the trend. People don't go simply for CA because along with that, you need a graduation as well. Or alternatively, you can go for CA after graduation. Okay, so there are two options. Number one, you go for CA after graduation. Number two, you go for CA foundation and you write your CA papers alongside graduation, which is the general trend. Generally, what people do is they don't wait till graduation. They register for ICAI through CA Foundation. It's a very easy exam. Everyone gets through it, I believe. So you can appear for CA Foundation, register yourself for CA. Parallel to that, you can go for a course like BBA LLB or BBA or BCom. And then while you complete your graduation, you complete your CA inter. After that, you go for CA final. So this is how it is happening. This is the best way to do it.
Right, sir.
And as far as banking is concerned, I think banks are recruiting. They are recruiting CAs. They are recruiting BBAs. They are recruiting BBA LLBs. So yes, banking is a good career. 8%, which is a huge number. 8% of India's GDP comes from the banking sector. So it's an ever-growing sector.
Sir, yes. The next question is again from a student. She's asking, is BCA available and any stream specific for BCA to get admission in BCA?
Yeah, BCA is available at IPU, and for that you need mathematics at your 12th. BCA is available.
Right.
But then I have a point here. Student given a choice between BCA and BTech, I will advise for BTech because that will make you an engineer. So I must say that BCA is available, but vis-a-vis BCA, BTech Computer Science is much more popular. And for from placement point of view also, given a choice between BCA and BTech Computer Science, go for BTech Computer Science.
I think we can take the last question. Which has been more valuable? This is more of a philosophical question from Abhishek. He's asking which has been more valuable, your education or your experience in the career?
The question is philosophical and the answer is bound to be diplomatic, both. Yeah, means I can't say like A is more valuable or B is more valuable. It's like, you know, once you, it's like theory and practice. Okay, so education is like the knowledge which we get, we come to know how to apply that knowledge and we get the attitude. Okay, so that part completes when a person is around 22, 23 years. Thereafter, you enter into the field and then you start applying that knowledge. So while you apply, yes, you are reminded of everything which you studied right from your KG class to your post-graduation. So it's like both the things. And when you start applying, then you learn it the hard way. So it is a combination of both. It can't be one.
So there are a whole lot of, I think in my chat box, there are 10 different other questions also, but we can't take it because of the paucity of time. Students, I am just writing the phone numbers of our admission counselors in the chat box. I know some questions are very valid, but because of the paucity of time, we need to conclude the session right now. So please feel free to call upon these numbers and the admission counselors will help you further in any of the queries which you might have, right? So thank you. With this, we come to the end of the session. I would like to thank school Ginny ma'am and Guru Harkishan Public School, which has given us the opportunity to give us the the information about the IP University courses to the students. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, the students who have taken out their time from their classes and all. I know that the online schedule is very hectic for all of you. So thank you, dear students, for attending this webinar. Thank you, sir, for giving you a valuable time and such a simple and exhaustive presentation. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
I'll also take a minute to thank you all on behalf of my school, my staff, and my students for this enlightening session. And I hope you have guided at least some of them, if not all of them. Thank you very much for your wise words, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.